Welcome to Germany vs. USA, and today we're going to talk about death.
So of course we are sitting in like a really nice park, children playing in the background, dogs barking, people playing frisbee. We need to talk about death.
I mean, it's full of life. We just need to bring it down a notch.
It's just way too happy here. No, but seriously, we wanted to talk about it because, in my impression, death is dealt with a little bit different in the United States. So first, let's talk about, I guess, how people deal with it. And to me, I have the feeling that in the US, people are more open, like are more willing to talk about it, are more open about it. Whereas in Germany, it's kind of a thing, and that that also varies a lot. But where it's not, of course, it's not like a really popular topic. I guess it never is.
No, it's not a popular topic, but I think like the overlying with kind of how Americans, in more than just this topic, they are more open.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to death, people are just, it sucks, and you got to cope with it, and we'll go through the process of that. But yeah, I guess so. I guess people are a little more willing to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, someone who maybe isn't like immediate family or like your close friend, like just an acquaintance, they're going to ask you like if you've lost someone or, and you're going to talk about it a little more. Where my impression in Germany, it's kind of kept a little more close-knit.
Actually, yeah, that is true. You wouldn't probably talk to people that you don't know about death, like if a relative or something. You probably wouldn't do that. That's true. Here, that's more easygoing. And you would also be like, I guess people are more open when you are asked, how are you doing? And perhaps they would actually say, oh, someone died in my family, or my aunt died or whatever. And that way you will get into a discussion with someone you might not actually be close to. That's true, actually, yeah.
So I've done a lot of things in Germany, but I've never been to a German funeral.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I knock on wood. But so what's the process on that, or with your experience?
I haven't been to an American funeral, but I think they're similar, and there are specific differences though. For instance, if you have like a funeral, I guess usually you wear black, right? That's
right.
Like the whole process. Then a funny term, well, it's not a funny term, but the term public viewing in Germany, people associate that with going outside when there's like a soccer tournament or like a world championship, with watching soccer outside. Whereas public viewing in the States also means something different, right?
Right. Well, a public viewing in the United States is if you have a funeral, you'll have the visitation, and the visitation is usually a day before.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's 2 days, like it will go over. But if it's a public viewing, you'll have the body. It's an open casket, to my understanding. And so when you have an open casket, when people come, friends and families, to pay their respect, they'll see the body.
Okay, but that's also sometimes in the service, right?
It's like with the visitation, which is like the day before, and then sometimes with the service you will have that, and sometimes they'll close it after visitation. Family will have their last moments, and then they'll close it, and then they'll have a service. But yeah, sometimes it is open.
Because in Germany, that's gotten, I don't know, I've never been to a funeral where the casket was open. I know it exists. We have the visitation like before, but that's also usually for closer family, I guess, and that it differs from the Protestant to Catholics and to other religions, of course.
Right.
But like to have an open casket in the service is really rare, I think.
Okay. It just depends. It's circumstantial, of course. But yeah, you're going to see more open casket, and I would say the majority of funerals I've been to, they've been funerals. I've been to, or burials, excuse me, instead of cremations.
Oh, okay.
Is that a difference? I think I read earlier it's like 30% of the deaths last year in the United States, they were cremated.
Okay. I think it's a little more in Germany. It's about half. It's gotten to half of people. I was surprised by that, actually, when I read that. It's about half the people there are being cremated. And the process is, I think if you're cremated in the United States, you can do with the ashes, you can basically do whatever you want, right?
Right, you can. Once you have, because there's some type of law, but basically it's a final non-toxic, so you can do what you want with the ashes. You can spread them on private property. You can't, if you get caught doing it public property, that's not supposed to happen.
Can you be buried in private property?
Yes. So that's one difference where now, as long as it's not in city limits.
Okay.
So if you have a farm or you live in the county, you have some land, you can have a family burial, like a cemetery on your own land.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but in Germany, you have to be an official cemetery, right?
Right. You can bury someone wherever you want, and also you cannot, like, even the ashes you can't take home. I think there's kind of like a gap in the law where you can take parts of the ashes home, but the majority of the ashes actually needs to be buried in a graveyard. And there's something called Seebestattung, which is on the ocean. So I guess you got to go 3 kilometers or miles, I'm not sure, out in the ocean, and then you can actually spread out the ashes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do not believe we have that. Actually, I know we don't. You can take the ashes home. There may be some law with the ocean, but I don't even think that's it. I think.
What was the movie called? Was it with the guy from Hangover, where he was driving around his father's ashes in like a coffee mug? You remember that? Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
playing there.
They were
Due Date.
Due Date. Yeah, Due Date. And then also in The Big Lebowski, you see them trying to throw the ashes, and the wind blows it back back in his face.
Yeah, in Germany you can't do that.
Yeah.
Another difference is, at least where I'm from the rural part of northern Germany, not northwest Germany. After a funeral, there will be something called Beerdigungskaffee. So there will be like a get-together of, depending sometimes, like the closer family or friends, sometimes it's a lot of people. The one I went to, where a neighbor of mine died, there were like 80 people invited to this cafe kind of thing, and you have coffee and you just basically talk over the person that has passed away.
We do that, but it's usually in a family's home.
Okay.
And then you'll have it at, that immediate family's house, and then everyone else will bring food.
Okay.
And then you'll have kind of like a luncheon and a day where people tell stories and you kind of remember, and then it's just kind of to help put closure.
Right.
And that's a little happier and more laid back than actually like leaving the burial site.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have that's similar.
Right.
But people do it all different ways. Just depending on how that person is they want to celebrate.
Right.
So if you're American, or just pay attention with a lot of our news and issues, you see a lot with living wills or people being taken off life support. There's a lot. I mean, every state has had some type of case where a lawsuit fighting this way or that way. I'd imagine Germans being German, y'all have a law or two about that.
Right, the Sterbehilfe, so it's actually the assisted suicide, right? Or euthanasia, right? So yeah, there's a big discussion in Germany. It's like active assisted suicide in Germany is forbidden by law. You can't do that. And then it gets really wobbly with the law, what you can do. And there's been a huge discussion if it should be allowed or if it should not be allowed. And I find it very difficult.
There was a really high-profile case in 2005. Terry Schiavo, I believe that's how you say her last name. She had a heart attack in 1990, and was basically brain dead.
Okay.
And so they kept her on life support, and her husband was feeling like she's never coming back.
Yeah.
We would like to remove the feeding tube. And it was a different case because it was a feeding tube, and she was, in a vegetated state. Well, her parents were like, no, she's still conscious. So they sued and went back and forth, and it got so bad that
she was still alive, though, right?
Yeah, she was still alive. That George Bush actually had to fly back to D.C. and he was going to try to sign a bill to try to help her parents.
Okay.
But that still got overturned, and she was eventually taken off. Her feeding tube was eventually removed, and she passed away. But I mean, there's lots of cases like that where people, one side of the family will side one way and the other will side another. And a living will, to my knowledge, with it, you can basically say, if something awful happens to me, I don't want to be on machines.
Okay.
And that kind of will help take away that situation.
Have you written a testament?
Yeah, I do. I do. So I do have a will. And it's actually, when I started traveling, I was advised to do one just because you're at higher risk traveling and whatnot. So yeah, but I have one, and it just because funerals can be expensive. So the little money I do have under my mattress, it kind of tells what to do with the funeral cost. I have everything set up, if I have any debts or a car loan or anything like that. All that's taken care of.
I'm gonna get Hugo.
Yeah. And but yeah, so I have little stuff that kind of takes care of things like that. Do you?
I don't actually. I should really do one, also because of those things what's going to happen if I, lying in a hospital and I want to donate my organs. If it's possible. So I need to take care of that actually before we do that. That's another topic, will and testament, I guess. But
yeah, well, that leads us into funerals here, and one reason cremations are increasing.
Right.
It's a funeral cost between like 5,000 and 10,000.
Super expensive.
Yeah, and then can be even more expensive depending on the
kind
tombstone
of casket you want, or right?
casket. Yeah, so they're pretty expensive. Where cremations are about half that cost. I think they're like 3,000 to 4,000. Are they that expensive in Germany?
Yeah, I think it's similar. It's similar. Perhaps not like 5 to 10, and again it depends, but not 5 to 10,000. Perhaps a little less, but they can be super, super expensive. Yeah, actually, I have no experience. Perhaps someone comment on that. How much do you pay for like a like average funeral? I don't know.
I mean, one thing we do have life insurance, and life insurance is to help with that. And also, if you have a significant other or a family, your life insurance will help pay out, and help with the cost of funeral and give like your wife or husband or whatnot some just a little cushion while you're dealing with that.
Okay.
And that's why you see like things on the news where like a wife will like poison her husband's soup or something, then you find out she has like a $400,000 dollar life policy.
That's what people do.
Yeah.
So death and funerals, we talked about that a little bit in this amazing
on this gorgeous day.
We're gonna play some soccer probably and throw a frisbee or two.
And the best thing about this, we don't have to talk about it again.
There you go.
Y'all take it easy.
Cheers.